Amber Phillips is a political reporter for the Washington Post, and she's good enough to join us now to discuss it all. And Amber, I want to begin again with that new tracking poll we just saw from your paper and ABC News. It has Trump in the lead by a point. How would you, 7 days out, summarize the state of the race?
It's basically tied. And I think it's, I could summarize it this way. While we're seeing a totally abnormal race in the headlines, so many October surprises and twists and turns, in the polls, it's kind of shaping up to be a relatively normal presidential race. You got conservatives, evangelicals, white voters, rural voters, largely falling for Donald Trump. On the other side, urban voters, voters who associate with non-religion, liberals falling for Clinton. Right now, 7 days out, they're tied.
Have we seen any impact then from the news that broke again last Friday to much consternation on the part of Hillary Clinton, her campaign members, and certainly Democrats across the country who felt that Director Jim Comey had essentially put his thumb on the scale here? Have we seen any impact as it regards polling?
Not really, but I caveat that with it's hard to tell, right? Because we're also seeing Republicans who have been skeptical of Trump kind of come home to them in these last few days, right around the time this FBI stuff blew up. The only notable drop in Clinton's numbers anywhere I've seen is in this post-ABC News poll. She lost about 8 points in enthusiasm among voters. Clinton has always struggled with enthusiasm, so has Trump. But that could be a potential warning sign for Clinton, who really needs Democrats to come out in big numbers, because as the cliche goes, you got to get people to show up to the polls if you want to win. And
it's been argued that the candidate who's really in the headlines in this election cycle is the one with the problem. And so we've seen here something that one analyst earlier today called the Clinton classic, finding the pivot and hitting that pivot hard. We've seen the Clinton campaign then begin to discuss alleged ties between Donald Trump and his campaign and Russia and Russian interests. Do you think, in terms of strategy, that's the best way for the Clinton campaign to go?
Well, it's tough to say because I don't see the FBI backing them up on this, right? James Comey has said he's not going to talk about it. The FBI has said we don't comment on ongoing investigations. Clinton could argue, and there are Democrats who argue there's a double standard there when they're talking about Clinton's emails so publicly. What I think Clinton has done really well in terms of pivoting is frame the conversation around her emails back around to James Comey and the head of the FBI director, and sort of say, wait a second, this is really unfair. And you've seen several Republicans, former Bush administration officials, even two current lawmakers in Congress right now, kind of back her up on that. So I think in terms of pivoting, she's been more successful to talk about the FBI and put the blame on them than to kind of take the blame herself or pass it on to Donald Trump when it comes to his maybe culpability with Russia.
And that suggests perhaps some divisions within the GOP. To that point, House Speaker Paul Ryan spoke about his party's nominee in an interview this morning. I want to play just a bit of it and get your thoughts on the other side.
I stand where I've stood all fall and all summer. In fact, I already voted here in Janesville for our nominee last week in early voting. We need to support our entire Republican ticket.
You did say that you weren't going to campaign with him. Have you changed your position on that? Will you be campaigning for him or with him over the next week?
No, I haven't changed anything. I'm just focusing on my primary responsibility, which is saving our House majority. I've already got a long schedule that has been long in place, fighting for House Republicans and also Senate Republicans, because that's what the Speaker of the House does. My job is to make sure Nancy Pelosi does not return as Speaker of the House. And it's to also help all Republicans make sure they go vote, turn out, and that helps every Republican up and down the ticket.
Amber, initial reaction to the decision of Director Comey last Friday seemed to suggest that while the impact on the presidential election would be unknown, that this perhaps was a bit of good news for field operatives in GOP offices who were concerned about down-ballot races. What impact do you think then it will have on these races to protect the congressional majorities that the Speaker was just speaking of? And what do you make of the Speaker once again making it clear that 7 days out, he's not exactly all aboard the Trump train?
Right. Well, let me talk about down-ballot turnout and impact. I think that's something that keeps Republicans, perhaps more than Democrats, awake at night. They need Republicans and independents to turn out so they can win November 8th. This was a gift from the heavens for them. I don't know how well they can move that forward to sort of reinforce the notion among Republican independent voters that Clinton is sort of in this elite circle and only cares for herself and she's corrupt, as the FBI might suggest. But it's something they're going to try to push forward, and they just got a sleeping pill, if you will, to sort of be able to rest more peacefully at night on that regard. Paul Ryan talks about saving the House majority. I think he's also trying to save his backside, quite frankly. No matter what happens November 9th, he's going to have a divided Republican caucus in the House. Polls show more broadly that a majority of Republicans disapprove of his decision not to campaign with Trump. Ryan is among several high-profile Republicans, Jason Chaffetz is another one in the House, who are saying, wait. I don't like Donald Trump, I'm not going to support him, but I'm still going to vote for him, and kind of trying to have it both ways.
We've seen then the numbers that we spoke of at the beginning of this segment as it regards a race that appears all the world tied. You mentioned these high-profile Republicans, Paul Ryan being perhaps the most high-profile of them, again saying, I voted for him, but I'm not going to be campaigning for him because I'm worried about congressional majorities. Is it your belief, based on your reporting, that GOP leadership sees this as a lost presidential election? Yeah,
I think so.
Okay.
I think that's exactly where they are right now. The race is tightening, but the electoral map, suggests that Donald Trump still has a much narrower path than Hillary Clinton to get to 270. So I think a lot of what you hear Republican leaders like Paul Ryan say would be better framed in the context of after November 8th. And they're trying to, shape the Republican Party for after Hillary Clinton is in the White House.
Amber Phillips with the Washington Post. Very, very much appreciate the insight.
Thank you.